Hey everybody, how's it going? Okay, so I'm going to bring up a few points about how I think a God, as most people define one, either shouldn't exist or can't exist. Just a few talking points, something to talk about. These are going to be very simple arguments that I'm using, and they're not meant to prove there's no God, just to show you, to make you think, could a God really exist? So the three characteristics that people usually assign are omniscient or all-knowing, omnipresent, and all-powerful or omnipotent. Okay, let's start off with omniscient or all-knowing. So, if God is all-knowing, then why does he test us? So like a lot of people say bad things are happening, or this is kind of a confusing situation I'm going through. God must be testing me. Well, if he knows the results, why have the test? You could say, well, there's free will. Well, I don't understand how you can have free will and a plan at the same time. Like, if I'm already programmed to do something, then I have no ability to deviate from that. I can only follow what I'm programmed to do. Also, if he's all-knowing, then why is he not known that the methods he's used to save us, how come he didn't know that those would fail? Like, okay, how come he didn't know Eve would screw up in the Garden of Eden? And when he tried to fix that problem with the flood, how come he didn't know that that wouldn't do anything to help us? And how come after he sent Jesus, how come we're still sinners? I don't, this is a little bit of something I don't understand. Is it seems like in every stage people are being saved and the sin is being washed away, but at the same time, everyone's still a sinner, so they need to be saved. I guess maybe that's just something I don't understand completely. Second point is omnipresent, and this is the claim that God is everywhere. And the first thing that comes to mind is most theists will say that he's metaphysical, or he doesn't exist in space. He's not something you can touch. And so my thought is, space is a place. If he's not in space, then he's not everywhere. He's not omnipresent. So I don't get it. Another claim is that God is love, and how I like to say that is God and love are equal. And love is certainly not everywhere. There are definitely places where there is not love. So if there's not love, then that means there's no God, right? So then God's not there, so he's not omnipresent. Another thing I think about is supposedly hell is just the absence of God. Absence of God. How can you have an absence of God if he's everywhere? Okay, and the third point, and this is the one I find the most interesting, is God having to be omnipotent or all-powerful. And the first thing that comes to my mind is something that is absolutely perfect. And perfect to me means that you have no flaws. There's nothing about you that would need something else. You're already perfect. So I think, why would a God need to create something? I feel like if there is something that is absolutely perfect, then it wouldn't have a need to exist. There wouldn't be a need for it to do anything, because it wouldn't have a need for it. Like, if there's an all-powerful being that somehow exists, then the most it would care to do would just lie dormant and not do anything, or just shut itself down somehow. I feel like if a God says, I want or need something, then he's not all-powerful. Because if you have a need, then you have something in you that's not filled. You're not complete. And to me that means you're not perfect. I just feel like if there's something absolutely perfect, then it's not a creator, and it's not anything that would care about us. Because if you love or you care, then you make yourself vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable, you're not perfect. So those are just a few points. Since those are the three main properties that people assign to God, And those are 3 things I think that show that God very likely does not exist. And I know I don't know everything, so I'm not asserting that God absolutely does not exist. I just like to talk about it. There's also a like button somewhere over there you can click if you like talking about this stuff. And there's a subscribe button. I don't see it. It's up there. And you can click that if you want to talk about it even more.